Come with me to my biggest craft fair of the year. Just kidding, it got canceled. So now what? I was hoping to have this video be all about selling out at my latest market, but that was not the case. If you were in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area this Memorial Day weekend, you know that it was a cold, rainy, miserable washout. And unfortunately, that meant that my biggest show of the year was canceled. But I refuse to let all of this prep work go to waste, so let me take you through the process of how I got all my inventory ready for a show that never happened. I had scheduled myself for a good 2 hours of work tonight, so I made sure to really set myself up and set the mood. I like to light some incense and put on a background show. Lately, I've been into pretty much anything Bravo. Right now, I'm finding it very zen to listen to rich women fight in New England accents. So I've been really going with Real Housewives of Rhode Island lately. And I'm sure more legit artists prefer to listen to music to help them kind of get in their creative flow. But if you've been around for a while, you know that reality TV is my safe space and my unhealthy obsession. So that's what I prefer to have on in the background while I work. That's just what fills my creative cup. This work session was all about stocking my inventory of my framed quotes. They've been selling quite a bit more than my greeting cards lately, so I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of my best sellers ready to go and a lot of stuff already framed up so I can just quickly and easily put it on display and not have to worry about like reframing or restocking things as the show went on. You'll see I have this folder where I keep all of my sketches ready to go. So that way I can just pull them out of the folder and trace them onto my final piece of cardstock using my light box. And sometimes I'll grab my cardstock, I'll grab my brush pen, and I'll make my final copy right then and there. But tonight I decided that I was going to sketch out all of the quotes I planned to frame first in pencil. And this is just like a type B thing that I've discovered. I knew I wasn't going to have time to get done final copies of everything that I wanted to get done this in this particular work session. So I thought it would be a good idea to get these pencil sketches done first. So that way, as I found little pockets of time later in the week leading up to the show, I could just quickly and easily grab that piece of cardstock, grab my brush pen, and just like bang out a final copy whenever and wherever I am. This isn't always the case, but given that this was the week leading up to my show and this was going to be the only day where I had like a long, uninterrupted time of work, I thought it would be better to set myself up to accomplish smaller goals throughout the week than just to try to accomplish everything in 2 hours, which I knew would be impossible. So, again, I don't always do this method, but it did really give me a lot of flexibility during the week. I did get everything done that I needed to after I set myself up like this for 2 hours, but, I guess it was all for nothing. I'll be honest, I was very disappointed when I realized the weather wasn't going to cooperate for this latest show. I had been checking the weather obsessively for about a week and a half leading up to the show, and I felt like every time I checked it, the forecast got a little bit worse. But that's always the risk with outdoor shows. They're very weather dependent. And although this particular show was a long standing community event, I knew if it was going to be a cold, wet, windy day, people just weren't going to come out like they do every other year. Other vendors will try to tell you that the weather is a non issue, but it absolutely does affect your success at a show. You can have the most loyal customers in the world, but I guarantee you 90% of them would rather stay home if it was a monsoon outside. So, as I saw this forecast starting to take shape, my wheels were already turning about whether or not I wanted to like power through in bad weather or if I wanted to be the one to cancel. And in this case, the decision was made for me. The event organizers canceled it before I even had to make that choice. But usually, when I see rain or wind in the forecast and the event isn't canceled, I have a really difficult decision to make. An artist, you really have to weigh the pros and cons of showing up in less than ideal predictions. I have to basically make a prediction. Will enough people still show up in this crappy weather that I could maybe break even or make a little bit of a profit? Or will it ultimately be a net loss for me? Because sometimes you can show up And there's not even enough people who come out that you even stand a shot of earning back your vendor fee. Then, on top of losing your vendor fee, you also then run the risk of losing your inventory or your display setup to rain or wind damage. Wind is honestly the scariest part. I've seen canopy tents literally get sucked up into the air like they're in the Wizard of Oz. Sometimes I've seen them get just stuck in a tree, and other times I've seen a tent blow into somebody else's tent, ruining somebody's setup and inventory, hurting people. It's very scary. But also, rain is very complicated as well. There's no coming back from water damage on paper products, which is the majority of what I sell. If my stuff gets wet because it's in the rain, that inventory is totally lost and needs to be completely remade. And in a case like mine, the majority of what I do requires labor. So it's my time that ends up costing me money in a situation like that, not just the item cost itself. Yeah, it was awful to have my show get canceled after I'd already prepped a ton of inventory. This was my biggest show of the year, and now I'm stuck with tons of frames and greeting cards. So I am going to force myself to be optimistic. Now I am fully prepared for the rest of my summer shows. So, speaking of, if you want to know where you can find me next, especially coming up in the next few months, join my email list. I'll have a sign up link in the video description. And I promise I only send like one email a month and sometimes even barely that. So, I'm not going to spam you with a bunch of salesy bullshit. It's just a way to see what shows I'm at and get first dibs on sales and new products. I really keep it very simple. But anyway, here's a fun look at some of the stuff I made, and hopefully someone will get to buy them soon. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.